Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and boy do we have a lot to talk about in today's video. So the big news is that the Washington football team versus Philadelphia Eagles game got postponed and will be rescheduled for Tuesday, December 21st at 7 p.m. Just too many players getting put on the reserve list. There are also two other games that got rescheduled. So we're going to be talking about how this affects Washington, which players will be coming back, and then also how it affects us going into next week against Dallas and who I think will be the starting quarterback. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Hit that like button and turn on those notifications. It really helps out the channel. And also go ahead and follow my Twitter and check out WinView. Let's get right into this video. So they finally did it. They're rescheduling the game. We are playing Tuesday, December 21st. There were just way too many players on the reserve list. We currently have 23 players on the reserve list after Washington just plays Daniel Wise and also Wendell Smallwood on the COVID reserve list, and also Taylor Heinicke got placed on that list today. I'm going to make a separate video talking about Heinicke and then also the other quarterbacks that we signed. But yeah, just too many players on that list. We did activate Keith Ismail, so that is good news. So we will at least have a center that has started for us before. That is the good news. And this, getting this game rescheduled allows, our players to get a little bit more time before they come back. I think this will allow for some other players that weren't going to be able to play on Sunday. Those guys will be able to play on Tuesday, because there's some players that got, placed on the reserve list last week. So that means even if they were unvaccinated, they would be able to come back this, Tuesday, because the NFL does have a rule. If you're unvaccinated, the earliest you can come back, I believe, is 10 days. And if you're vaccinated, it's a little bit different. You can come back after 2 negative tests, I believe, after 4 days. But they're switching it up a little bit. They changed the protocols, making it a little bit easier to get back on the field, and they might even be switching these protocols up a little bit more. So when Washington plays on Tuesday, the protocols could even be changed even more, to the point where, any asymptomatic player is, who is vaccinated, or I don't even know, maybe unvaccinated, will be able to play. So maybe Washington will get the majority of their guys back. I don't know if Heinicke's going to be able to get back, just because he did get placed on the reserve list today. So he won't likely, there's a very good chance he will not be playing for us on Tuesday unless the protocols change. Again, that is the key thing, because there's been a lot of reports that it is likely that the protocols will change early next week, and it just depends on how much will those protocols change. I do think this does help Washington. Obviously, it helps us in our chances of winning this week against Philadelphia, because Kyle Allen is also on the reserve list, but it gives him time to possibly end up coming back and playing for us on Tuesday, because Taylor Heinicke likely won't be able to play, and give some other guys the chance to come back. I think Jonathan Allen will be back for this game. I think Montez Sweat will be back for this game. I think a lot of our defensive line will be back. I'm not sure about Ioannidis and Settle. We'll see about that. And then Kendall Fuller and Cameron Curl, I don't think those two will be back again unless the protocols are changed, because I believe both of those players are unvaccinated, but I am not, sure. And then Sam Cosmi, he's not on the reserve list or anything, but he's been practicing, and he might end up playing this weekend. Which would be a huge boost, because Cornelius Lucas is on the reserve list, so that would kind of cancel that out. And Washington just needs bodies. They really do need bodies. Terry looks like he's going to play, so if Washington can get Kyle Allen or Taylor Heinicke back by Tuesday and get a lot of these guys back, I think they will have somewhat of a chance in this game. If the NFL doesn't change the protocols, I still think Washington will probably get 5 to 10 players back. It really depends on how important those players are. But if they do change the protocols, it will be more than 5, maybe even more than 10 guys back, which would be huge against the Eagles. Again, this game is very, very important for the Washington football team if they do want to end up making the playoffs. It looks like a long shot right now just because of all the injuries first off, and then now these COVID issues. It makes it look like a long shot, but they still have a chance. But that starts with beating Philly. We're going, because of this, moving to Tuesday, it's gonna be a short week going up against Dallas. So that is a little bit of a disadvantage, but I think I've said it before in videos, beating the Eagles is much more important than beating Dallas because we're competing against the Eagles for a wild card spot. So we need to beat the Eagles at least one time and very likely 2 times if we want to make the playoffs. That's just how it's going to be. We obviously have to beat the Giants. That's one game. And then we have to win 2 out of the other 3 if we want a really good shot to make the playoffs. And, winning 8 games, it gives you a possibility of making the playoffs, but not a likelihood. And yeah, it's still tough. Washington is no doubt going to be missing a lot of guys. And even if some of the key guys come back, they're going to be, decimated on special teams. Khaleke Hudson's out on IR. He was one of their best special teams players. Troy Apke is on the reserve list. Who knows if he comes back? Same thing with David Mayo. Same thing, with, I think James Smith-Williams is on the special team, unit. There's a lot of guys that are, there's a lot of guys that are out. So even if we get some of our key guys back, we're going to be hurting out there without some of our, not so important players. But we'll see. Again, it's a way, who knows? We likely will have other players go on the reserve list. It's been diminishing, obviously, because the first few days, we got like 3, 4, 5 players going on each day for the first like 3-ish days. The last couple days, it's been a little bit less, a couple guys. Today, we got 3 guys on the list, and Heineke, Wendell Smallwood, and Daniel Wise. Obviously, losing Heineke is big, that's huge. But Daniel Wise and Wendell Smallwood aren't huge losses. Daniel Wise could be a loss depending on, how many of those other D linemen do end up coming back. And yeah, we can talk also. The Eagles fans are so upset that, Washington, this game is getting rescheduled. And what I'll say is, yes, the outbreak could have been started by Montez Sweat, who, people are saying he was unvaccinated, so that's why we should forfeit. But at the same time, he came in there and all he did was get the test. He didn't, he didn't practice or anything, so who knows if he was even the one who started it. But he might have. He definitely might have. But, we had to do the same thing last year where, we were playing the Steelers. They had, one of their games delayed, and then we had to delay our game a couple, or at least 1, maybe 2 days back. And, we played on a short week. But, I don't remember us complaining a ton, as much as the Eagles fans are, but the players too. And some of the players are like, man, I thought they were going to forfeit. Well, what they don't know is, I'm sure they know now, but if, Washington were to forfeit, then none of the teams would be getting paid. So that's just something that they need to keep in mind, is that, a forfeit is bad for both sides because one team's going to get the loss, but the other team both teams aren't going to get paid. So that is something that, needs to be considered. But this game against the Eagles is very important. Even though we are decimated, this game is huge for us. I think, Ron Rivera has these players in the right mindset. It's just, one thing I wanted to say that was really, I don't know why we were doing this, and I guess I somewhat understand it, but we're in the middle of a huge outbreak, and we continue to go through practices. Like, we had like 6 players go on the reserve list, then we go out there, practice again, players keep getting infected because, there's not much transmission going on the football field, but these guys are interacting in the locker room and stuff like that. So I just didn't think that was smart because the list kept on piling up because these guys are practicing together. I know they got to get some practice in together because that, it's hard to, be successful if you're not practicing much. But at the same time, it's very hard to be successful when your whole team is out. So that's just something that I don't know why the NFL allows that. I think it should have been like all virtual. Maybe the injured players could still go out there and rehab a little bit. But that's just something I want to hear your guys' take on that. Real quick, Quick injury update. Again, these game statuses could change because this was when the game was scheduled for Sunday. Curtis Samuel out with a hamstring injury. I'm done with him. I'm really done. I mean, this has just been ridiculous. The groin injury, and then he comes back. He's not producing at all. We're not really involving him much. And then now this hamstring injury. I'm just done. Get him rested up and have him ready for next year, because even when he's healthy, they're not using him right. He's not, making plays. So that's just, yeah. I mean, and it's not even that they're not using him right. They're just not involving him that much, and sometimes he's open. Heineke doesn't get on the ball. And then Terry McLaurin and J.D. McKissic are questionable. Ron Rivera is very optimistic about Terry McLaurin playing. J.D. McKissic kind of iffy, but maybe this, 2 extra days will help us get those guys back. And, honestly, I don't mind a Tuesday night game. It's nice. It's 7 p.m. That's not a bad time, and we'll see. Let's hope we can get this W. And I'm going to keep you guys updated on, the players that get off the reserve list, because I think we got 23 now. I think, we'll still add a couple players, but I also think we're going to be starting to see that list go down and down, and hopefully we can get that down to, a minimal number by kickoff on Tuesday. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. Peace, guys.